Welcome back to Stefanie Drysdale's weekly cybersecurity recap. It is week 109, February 4th, 2022, and I'll just kick it off. So this week I shared a media bias chart with you all. I know these can sometimes challenge or upset viewpoints, as the unspoken message comes across as telling some of us that our favorite sources are bad or wrong. And while that may unfortunately be the case for some sources, it's not what the bias chart is measuring. The range goes from politically left or right and from pure fact to pure fiction. And while there's little harm in enjoying stories with a personal slant or relatable perspectives, there can be harm in sharing misleading or intentionally inaccurate information. And with many articles having been created by foreign governments for the purpose of division and mistrust, you can see how having a trusted, fact-based source is more important than ever. Just like getting a second opinion from a reputable doctor can help you make a good decision, checking opinions against facts will help you do the same. The Guardian shared an article titled "Teenager Seeks $50,000 from Elon Musk to Delete Twitter Bot Tracking Private Jet." A 19-year-old student and aviation enthusiast from Florida created a Twitter bot that tracks Musk's Gulfstream private jet and posts real-time updates of its location. He's not the only one that the teen is sharing flight information on. He's also oversharing about other tech execs. The unique part of this story is that Musk reached out to the teen directly and offered to compensate him in exchange for taking down the site, to which he countered with a higher demand before negotiations finally broke down. We see exposed tracking data often with our executive digital protection subjects and take steps to mitigate successfully in some cases. But whether it's a teenager on Twitter or a more nefarious attacker, these examples highlight the weaponization of data and the new lens through which we need to be viewing and protecting ourselves and those in our charge. UPI shared an article titled "Sextortion Study, Men at Higher Risk for Online Blackmail in Pandemic Than Women." According to a study published Monday by the journal Victims and Offenders, it found that men have been twice as likely as women to fall victim to online blackmail since the start of the pandemic. This includes threats to publish explicit photos, videos, and personal information, the researchers said. Data showed that young people, Black and Native American women, and LGBTQ individuals also were at higher risk for being victims of this form of cybercrime called sextortion. It was speculated that men had more time to spend online than women during the pandemic. With sextortion, the blackmailer is often a current or a former partner, but they can also be a stranger who's hacked into the victim's online photos or webcam, or an online dating scammer. Of the male respondents, 4.5% said that they had experienced sextortion since the start of the pandemic, compared to 2.3% of women. Black and Native American women were around 7 times more likely to be victims of sextortion than white women, and LGBTQ respondents had up to 3-fold higher risk for being victims of sextortion compared with heterosexual individuals. Also, respondents who were victims of sexual violence by a partner before the pandemic were up to 17% more likely to experience extortion during the pandemic. Sex education programs that teach about consent and pleasure and healthy relationship communication and decision-making may reduce both in-person and technology-facilitated sexual violence. The hope is that victims will seek help rather than succumb in shame to the criminal's demands. This is far more common than you might think. If you experience this or know someone who has, please encourage them to get help. There's no shame in this. So many people are being targeted, so please reach out and get help. Security Magazine shared "When Security and Resiliency Converge," a CISO's perspective on how security organizations can thrive. You all know that I feel convergence is an essential part of every security and resiliency function, so I really loved how this article walked through several components that empower and ensure continuity for businesses. Too much to get into here, but I'll be sure to link it for you below. Security Intelligence shared identity fraud, 9 consumer scams, and how to stop them. Lots of valuable information in this, starting with identifying the types of identity fraud. We talk about identity theft often, but lately there's more of a distinction between the theft of PII and subsequently how it can be used to commit fraud. So the article gave tips on how to recognize and defend against various types of fraud. So I'll put it in the links for you below. Brian Krebs from Krebs on Security shared how phishers are slinking their links into LinkedIn. We've all gotten links in our DMs, even Dropbox links and attachments. Just a reminder that even though the link comes via LinkedIn or another platform, that you're still vulnerable to a number of scams, either through malicious links, forwarding links, destructive files, and social engineering attempts. The article details how this scam in particular appears to its recipients and how to avoid it. But there are many scams that look quite different from one another and shouldn't discourage you from clicking on any links or files from a new or unknown contact. And as we kick off Black History Month, we extend our gratitude and celebrate those who have led and continue to educate and lead the charge, contributing in vital, creative ways and sometimes challenging long-held beliefs to help us open the floodgates to essential recognition and better understanding for us all. And that's what I have for you all this week. I hope everyone is staying well and enjoying the snow if you ended up getting some. I know we got plenty here in Chicago. So stay safe, stay healthy, and I will look forward to seeing you all next Friday.